Good afternoon and welcome to SnapTech IT's monthly webinar for November 2025. My name is Ted Hulsy. I'm Chief Revenue Officer of SnapTech IT and your host for today's event. Thanks for joining in for the live session. This webinar will be recorded and circulated to all registrants. You can also always visit us on our YouTube channel for all of our content on demand. Today's topic is what's new with Google Gemini. I'm joined today by my colleague, Nathan Caldwell. Nathan leads our marketing efforts here at SnapTech. Nathan, good to have you on the webinar.
Always glad to be here with you, Ted, and I can't wait for what you have to share today.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. Google Gemini has been in the news this week because just yesterday, Gemini 3 got released. And so we've had a day and a half or so of opportunities to test it. So that'll definitely be a part of today's agenda. But Google in general has been innovating like crazy in the past 6 to 12 months, I would say, really catching up with ChatGPT and other players in the market in the AI space. So there's really a lot to cover. Nathan's going to be fielding live questions from the Q&A log, so please be sure to use those. We do like to spend a minute in any one of our sessions just letting people know who we are. If you don't know who we are, SnapTech IT is a cybersecurity first IT service provider with operations in Atlanta, Georgia, Phoenix, Arizona, and the San Francisco Bay Area. When clients come to us, they come to us with various problems. Maybe their current provider is too slow or too unresponsive, or they're suffering downtime, or the executive team's losing sleep over cybersecurity concerns and risks. Our philosophy is that technology in your business should be solving problems, not creating them. And so we try to make those technology challenges go away for our clients. And we do that by implementing a proven process. And our clients get a technology plan, a predictable IT budget. We implement our best practices, which secures our client environments, gives them the peace of mind that they're defended and doing the absolute utmost that their budget can afford to defend their organization. And then when things break, things always do break in technology, you receive fast and friendly support from SnapTech IT. That's what we do for our clients, and we do it in two different ways. If you're a smaller organization and there's nobody on your team who's in the IT department, we often call that managed IT, and we have clients that look to us for everything. For larger organizations, if you have an IT manager, an IT director, or a whole IT team, there's often a situation where you're either growing really fast or there's lots of IT projects on the back burner. And in those sorts of situations, we do what's called co-managed IT, which is coming alongside an existing IT team and finding the outsourcing tasks that can really help stabilize and turbocharge that organization. And so we come alongside, we're your outsourcing partner, and we'll take a lot of things off your plate so that you and your team can be more successful. So that's it on the commercial. Everything else today is all about Gemini, and this is what we're going to be looking at. So we're going to make sure first that everybody's grounded in how to license and get access to Google Gemini, because it is a little bit complicated. I mean, when you look across the AI landscape, there's lots of stuff that's free. There's lots of models and tools you can play with that have a freemium model. Almost everybody does. And you can kind of play around with things, but you quickly find yourself in a cul-de-sac where you don't have enough capacity or enough tokens or enough credits. And it's super frustrating. And so I think at this stage of the game, every leader should have 1, 2, or even 3 different AI tools you're running to be experimenting. And we just want to make sure you know how to get Google Gemini Pro in place for your own self or your organization. So we'll cover licensing, and then we'll kind of dive into the tech itself. We're going to be looking at the Google Gemini experience, both in the browser and on mobile devices. We're going to talk a little bit about deep think capabilities in these reasoning models and how the deep research type agents work. We'll talk about what multimodal means and explain what that means and why that's so important in AI prompting today. We'll look at Gemini Live. We'll look at how to create images with Gemini. We'll also create videos as well. And then we'll finally close out with a couple comments on Gemini 3, even though it's only kind of 24 to 48 hours out in the wild for most Google customers thus far. And then we'll have time for your questions at the end, but also we would love to take your questions as we go. So please enter them as we go. Okay, let's kind of let's get into this. let me just kind of make a couple introductory remarks, and Nathan, jump in anytime with questions, color commentary, corrections,
Yeah, absolutely.
potentially. Okay, so the first thing to realize is that before the AI wars started, we had the cloud productivity wars between Microsoft and Google, and for most companies in the United States, at least, you've really had two choices traditionally for a cloud productivity suite. You had either Microsoft 365 on the one hand, which is Microsoft, running your Microsoft Mail in the cloud with your calendar, with Microsoft Teams, with the traditional Office suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. And then in an enlarged bundle from Microsoft for a fixed monthly fee per employee per month. Microsoft has the most market share, and Google has always been a really solid competitor in this space, but a distant competitor, because Microsoft long had a start in the office productivity world long before Google. And so they've been able to maintain that market share and continue to innovate. But Google Workspace there's lots and lots of organizations that are, A, they don't like Microsoft, and B, they found that Google Workspace is the cloud productivity suite for them. And so those organizations will standardize on something called Google Workplace. And this includes Gmail, corporate Gmail, the Google Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, etc., all in this one bundle. Now, the important thing to realize is if you subscribe to Google Workspace, Google Gemini currently is included. So that's just a huge bet by Google to, I think, mostly to steal market share away from Microsoft. Because if you're in the case of Microsoft, you're spending anywhere from $10 to say $23 a month for the Microsoft 365 suite for your employees, and then Microsoft Copilot is an additional $30 on top. So that adds up from a licensing perspective. And in the case of Google, if you simply license Google Workspace at the standard level or above, it comes standard with Google Gemini. And so for $14 a month, that gets you one seat of Google Workspace, and then all of the Gemini capabilities come to you without an asterisk or two asterisks or a blank, right? It's basically Gemini works right inside the suite. So when you're working inside of Sheets or Docs or Gmail or Google Chat, Gemini is working and capable. And then all of the other core Gemini capabilities are not rate limited, if you will, or token limited or whatever. You have the kind of the full functionality. So $14 a month. So that's one way to think about it, is if you wanted to experiment for your organization or you're considering a major move, you'd want to be thinking about Google Workspace, Business or Standard or Plus, and Gemini is included. Now, another way to get after it is Google Gemini. You can, if you're just a Google customer and you have a Google Drive account and you have a Gmail account and you use the standard productivity apps, you can also subscribe to Google AI Pro. And they're running a promo right now where the first month is free, but then thereafter it's $19.99 a month. And I just wanted to call out some of the things that make this unique. So if you're thinking about the overall landscape, ChatGPT costs $20 a month for the main prosumer model. It's $25 a month for the ChatGPT for business model. You got Microsoft Copilot, which is $30 a month, and so on and so forth. So there's kind of this $20 to $40 range for a fully capable AI platform that's a productivity tool for a knowledge worker. That's kind of the going rate, if you will. And so if you look at Google AI Pro, you can subscribe to it for $20 a month. And a couple big differences, right? So the context window is much larger. What do we mean by a context window? Anytime you upload visuals, documents, PDFs, reports to a prompt, that is giving context to your prompt. And these things can be limited. And so in the case of Google Gemini, when you step into the pro level, there's 1 million tokens. So that's basically a lot compared to the free tier. And then you see that when you have the pro version, it's fully integrated with Gmail and Docs and Sheets. You have access to the video creation tools, VO 3.1, without any limits. you have included storage in Google One, and so on and so forth. So you really want to be at the pro level, or you want to be at the Google Workspace standard and above. Okay, so that's kind of like the main takeaways we wanted to talk about in terms of just how do you get your hands on Google Gemini. Nathan, any questions from the floor yet?
No, it's just what we want to highlight, because some of you may come in and be like, well, I'm confused because I actually have some access to some features. What Ted is highlighting is, how do you remove that confusion? Like, which memberships gets you all of the features so that you don't run into dead ends when you go from, oh, I thought I had access to this tool or that tool with my Google account and what I have with Gemini. And so what we're trying to do here is remove some of that confusion and just show you the memberships that get you access to all of the apps, all of the features.
That's right. Okay, super. All right, so let's get into it. The very first thing we wanted to talk about is just the user experience of Google Gemini. So the way you get there is gemini.google.com, and it's a web browser interface, not surprisingly. And I think one observation that I'll make rather, is that it's a very clean layout. There's not a lot of distractions. There's not a bunch of ad tiles up and left and right down the side. And what we're clearly seeing is that ChatGPT, I think, really captured people's imaginations because it came out with this highly functional, highly capable tool with a very clean user interface. And in many ways, they kind of copied the original cleanliness and just stark UI of a Google search in the early days. And they wisely did that. And now what you see is that with Copilot and the new Copilot landing page, and with Google Gemini, everybody's kind of copying what's working with ChatGPT, which is there's a box with a couple little buttons and knobs you can work on your prompt with, and that's it. And so that's your UI. And then there's a little menu here that pops in and out as well. And I'll show this live as I go through a couple of live demos. And in today's conversation, there's some things we're going to show just in slideware because it's too complicated to demo over a webinar, or sometimes too risky.
Well, and also sometimes there's just that waiting game. And so we don't want to it's not exciting to see a prompt, watch a 60-second countdown clock, and then see the results. We want to jump ahead a little bit.
We're going to do a couple that take 60 seconds.
Your time.
We're going to do a couple we're going to take a couple that take 60 seconds, but not 5 minutes, right? Because that would be like watching paint dry. So some of the demos, we're just going to use slideware today. Others we're going to show in real time, right in the browser, right in a live connection, and keep our fingers crossed. Okay, so that's the main home experience. Now on mobile, Gemini is equally slick, I would say. This is real screenshots from my actual iPhone, and you see that I'm day to day running with all of the AI apps because that's what I got to do to just keep up with all this stuff and experiment like crazy. But you open up Gemini there in the middle, and you can quickly figure out, quickly toggle to what am I doing, what kind of prompting am I trying to do. Very interestingly, literally between yesterday and today, my Google Gemini account got upgraded from 2.5 to 3. And so I think when I woke up this morning, I kind of went in and did some demo testing, and 3 is now actively working in my account. But you see, I just did a little quick one here, just a little image creation, just create an image of Jackson Square in New Orleans. My family and I were going on a little mini trip before Thanksgiving next week to New Orleans. And so I have a bunch of content today that's going to have a New Orleans theme. So hopefully there's some people on the line who like New Orleans. But I'm going to do a couple examples so you'll see that come to fruition here. But anyway, that's the mobile.
Have you started calling it Nolans yet, Ted?
No, when I get down there, I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay. And then the other thing you should be aware of is there's something called Google AI Studio, and you get there by going to aistudio.google.com. And you could think about the AI Studio as your sandbox as a developer. So anybody doing custom development where you're going to tap into the APIs into Gemini and that sort of thing, you'd want to start working in this sort of environment. So it's really for the coder or the developer or for the AI expert, but I just wanted to mention it. So for example, just from a testing perspective, yesterday, I was able to do testing with Gemini 3 in my AI Studio interface, but not in my standard Gemini interface yesterday. And then as of today, Gemini 3 is showing up in my standard Gemini interface. So anyway, but all of the new features, when they get pre-released or put out in beta or early preview, which is what Google often does, they kind of roll their tech out to their most diehard users first and really get it stress tested. And then as they get more feedback and get confidence that all the bugs are worked out, then they'll roll it out to the general customer base and public. So anyway, that's what Get Google AI Studio is. Okay, so let's talk about, first of all, deepthink and deep research. So one of the most important use cases for AI today is to really do a deep analysis of a problem, deep research on a topic. I mean, sometimes you want just a quick win. You just want a quick answer. You want a quick email created. You want a quick script created. But other times you really want something authoritative and well-researched. And these are called deep reasoning capabilities in these AI models. And every single one of the big players has a capability in this way. ChatGPT has that capability. They used to make it so you had to select which model you wanted to use when you were going to do a deep reasoning exercise. Now with ChatGPT 5, they guess based upon your prompt whether you want something that's deep reasoning or fast, which is kind of one of the advancements of ChatGPT 5. But in any event, the Google calls their reasoning model DeepThink. So that's the overall underlying model capability that allows the AI engine to kind of work in parallel. So research different aspects of a topic in parallel and come back to you with a really comprehensive output. And then they call deep research is more like the agent mode you would select when you want something created that's using a DeepThink methodology. But you can use DeepThink methodologies and capabilities for things like coding, mathematical work, digesting large data sets and all those things. All of those are going to use a DeepThink capability. I'm more of a writing, marketing, sales guy, research guy, and so I'm often using deep research to create interesting research reports. So that's kind of just explaining DeepThink and deep research. What I want to do now is toggle over to some demos. And the first thing I want to just show you, so I'm over here in Gemini, and Nathan, you can see this okay?
Yeah, I see it great. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
So what we want to do first is just show you how I have some of my prompts copy and pasted into an Excel spreadsheet over off on my other screen here, which will allow us to go really quickly. But what I want to show you is, so let's just show what a typical use case is for deep research. So let me just show you how this would work. So let's just say you're a professional investor, or let's just say you're working on your own stock portfolio and you want to compare two stocks. This is a great use case for deep research. And here's my prompt: do a complete financial analysis on Procter & Gamble versus Clorox, including fundamental financial analysis from the trailing 12 months, including P&L, cash flow, balance sheet, and do a valuation analysis on their publicly traded stocks using traditional measures of stock valuation. Okay, so I'm going to first toggle this to the thinking mode, to the deep thinking mode, and I'm going to toggle this to deep research, and then I'm going to set this thing off. Now, what I don't want to do is make you guys all sit and wait, because these exercises take sometimes 5-10 minutes to run. But what I want to show you is just some other ones that I've already done to show you something similar. And so I'm going to go over here into like the log of the other demos I've run and show you this one here. UPS versus, so this is one I ran yesterday to get prepared for this. And so you see I put in a similar sort of prompt, and then it comes back and it says, well, you know, it asks a couple clarifying questions, and then I said, hey, start the research. And then it ran, and it took, let's see if it tells me how much time it took. In any event, what I wanted to show you is that then you end up with this really detailed report. And in this case, I wanted to compare United Parcel Service and FedEx. And you get an exec summary. It analyzes the revenue of each company and the recent trends. It looks at the cash flow, you know, so it does a similar analysis on FedEx. And then it comes down and says, okay, let's compare the two, and it creates this nice table. And the crazy part is this is as quality of piece of research as you would traditionally get from a Wall Street sell-side research analyst. And it gets created in all of 5 to 10 minutes. And when you go to look at the sources, I mean, look at all these sources it consulted. It consulted the investor section of the UPS website, the NASDAQ website, the investor section of the FedEx website. So really authoritative sources, and it shows its work, so to speak. And so this is a really good example of deep research, and just, you know, pretty compelling. If we go back over here, this one's probably saying, hey, I'm ready to go. And so I'm just going to start this one. So it's going to start the research on Clorox and Procter & Gamble. And then I just want to show, like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like, I could go ahead and immediately just export this report to Google Docs. So again, this is the, you know, Microsoft and Google both have the advantage that they have this whole productivity suite that can be deeply integrated with the AI experience. And so here it gets dropped into Google Docs, and I have this nice word process quality document that I can save to Google Drive and access later, right? So pretty awesome in my opinion. Okay, let's look at one other use case for deep thinking and deep research. And on this one, what I want to do is just another one that I've already done, but let me just profit. And so this one, let me just show this to you. So this is so we are as I mentioned earlier, we introduced ourselves. We're an IT service provider. We're also called an MSP, a managed service provider in our space. And one of the things we do this time of year is we do a lot of pushing and pulling on our budget, and a lot of analysis of where we stand and benchmark against our competition, and where we stand against similarly sized companies, and are we profitable enough and whatnot. And in this situation, this is a 300-page research report that's published by this organization that's a big expert on our industry space. And you can simply take this report, upload it, and it doesn't need to be OCR'd. So this report, literally the AI tool, Gemini, will read the report and read the contents of this report, and basically in the cloud perform optical character recognition on the report, meaning look at the report, extract all the textual elements, and be able to do an analysis of it. And so in this one, it says build a profit and loss statement for a managed service provider doing 10 million in annual revenues in the United States in 2026. Leverage the attached research report and build a hypothetical P&L based on the best-in-class financial performance. And so again, it does the deep thinking and deep research, and it comes out and produces this comprehensive analysis of what a winning P&L would look like. And so for us, this is very handy from a budgeting perspective. So anybody on today's call, you could do the exact same thing for your industry if there's reports on what best-in-class performance look like in your world. And you notice what you can do with this is you can export this to Google Sheets, and I've already done that. And if I just go show that, so I have the whole research report again, which I can export to Docs, but I also can go to Google Sheets and it'll export it right into a spreadsheet format for me, so it's even handier to use. So if we just go back, you'll see that the Procter & Gamble and Clorox research is still going on. And one of the cool things that Gemini does is it shows its work, so to speak. It's showing all the different resources it's consulting, and it's going to go and keep going along in the background. But I'm going to go ahead and keep us moving here. But That's deep research, that's deep thinking. Let's keep moving. Okay, the next topic, I mean, Nathan, any questions?
Yeah, so jumping in, and this isn't necessarily about deep research, but just a general question that I think is worthwhile, like hitting right in between one demo to the next, which is the question is SnapTech promoting Gemini over Copilot? And then the next question is, if we are using Microsoft 365 Suite, how does Gemini cross over?
So two good questions. Let me tackle those. First, are we promoting Gemini over Copilot? And the answer is no. I think the reality is nobody knows who's going to win this horse race. I think there's a lot of different factors that go into which AI platform you should use for your organization. I would argue that if your organization is deeply invested already in the Microsoft suite, I would go with Copilot, because you're getting the best of the ChatGPT engine and you're getting it deeply integrated in the app experience. If you're a company using Google Workspace, of course, go with Gemini, like just absolutely hands down. I would say if you're there's lots of organizations that hate both Google and Microsoft and are kind of a best of breed shop, right? And they use a lot of specialized tools, and they might use Dropbox for their files, and they might use Zoom for their video conferencing, and have kind of a mix of different things. Then you have kind of a tougher decision in those sorts of situations on which AI platform you're going to go with. And I would just say, do your homework and put together a working group, put together an AI steering committee, and test out the tools and see how they work for you. I would say that I am blown away by the progress that Google's made in the past 12 months. I mean, we're not going to get into the gory details, but if you remember, the solution used to be called Bard, lamer name for sure, and it just didn't work very well. I mean, in the first couple 6 to 12 months that Bard was really commercially available, it was terrible. And it didn't hold a candle to ChatGPT, and everyone's like, "Oh, OpenAI is going to put Google out of business." Google has fully 100% caught up. Warren Buffett just invested $4 billion into Google. He usually doesn't make huge mistakes, and I think Google is really strutting their stuff. And Gemini 3 and all of these advancements are proof of that. So it's really a tough call. I think when Nathan and I did this webinar 6 months ago, we did a cage match between Microsoft Copilot and Google. We kind of chickened out and called it a draw. But it was really a draw. I mean, it is kind of a draw because Google is making it more affordable to get the solution, and Copilot's more expensive. So it's a lot of it depends, but hopefully those are a couple of thoughts that can help you gear where you might be. And then the second question was?
Well, just to add another comment to that, like sometimes we're thinking like, what is the tool that answers absolutely everything I need? And the reality is that what we're going to see later is with Google there, with Gemini Video, it's a very strong contender for even if you just want to use it for video stuff.
That's right.
To just go ahead and get a membership and give it to your top person who's in charge of video stuff.
Yeah, just the marketing department. I mean, I think what's definitely going to happen is that certain departments and functions you may have a platform decision for your whole company, and then you have department by department specialized tooling that you pay for. And it would probably make sense to have a Google Workspace subscription for somebody in a marketing department, even if you had Copilot for the whole organization, for example, because many of the Google video and image editing stuff, it's better than what you can get on Copilot.
Yeah, and so the question isn't always which whole suite should we adopt, but the question could be, where do we need help? Will $20 a month with Google Gemini save us way more than $20 a month in video production, or whichever element of the tool you're interested in using? So I would just add that little kind of mindset around it as well. And then the second part to that question was, they're using Microsoft 365. So how does Gemini cross over?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of I think if you're using a certain productivity platform and then you're having outputs created, you're going to be doing a lot of copy and pasting between one platform and the other. And so if you're on Microsoft 365 and you're using ChatGPT, for instance, that's like you're doing that a lot. And if you elected to go with Gemini, you would also still be doing that a lot. But I would say that Gemini seems a little bit more agile in letting you to download in different formats and that sort of thing. But yeah, if it's not integrated, there's a lot of switching between the different applications, which costs you time and costs you some mental grief as you do that. So that's a couple trade-offs. But our goal as a company is, first of all, to educate our clientele on these tech trends, number one, and then help them on their journey. And I mean, I think 90% of our clients today do use Microsoft 365, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to embrace Google Gemini, especially if Google is massively catching up and creating a really compelling solution that a lot of our clients might be using. Okay, Nathan, keep the questions coming.
Yep, I'll have one for you a little bit later, but let's jump into the next demo too.
Yeah, so multimodal. What this basically means is that when you do a prompt, what this basically means is when you build a prompt, you can load multimedia content into the prompt, and that the AI engine is capable of ingesting all the different kinds of things you might load in there. And we kind of already showed that a little bit by uploading a 300-page PDF document. But that's what it basically means, is you can feed in images, you can feed in raw video content, you can feed in YouTube videos, you can feed in code, you can feed in large spreadsheets and data sets. All of these are capable to be loaded in. And so let's just show a couple. Let me just grab a prompt here and just show how that might work. So I'm going to copy a prompt, and I'm going to go back over to over to Gemini, and I'm going to copy my prompt in. And in this case, I'm taking a YouTube video link. You see this YouTube video link here, and then I'm going to upload a report, and I just need to go grab this report. And bear with me here. And this is that awesome 300-page profitability report, and I'm going to upload it. Okay, and so what I'm doing is I'm giving the prompt a 300-page PDF that hasn't been OCR'd, and I'm giving it a YouTube video. And I'm going to ask it to answer this one quickly and not do a deep research on it. But I'm basically saying, compare the 2024 and 2025 profit outlooks from Peter Kajawa, who's the analyst who wrote this report and is featured in this YouTube video. By analyzing this YouTube video, which focuses on 2024 observations and analysis of 2023, with the attached report that focuses on 2024 profit realities and the outlook for 2025. And I'm going to hand it off here, and I'm just going to let that run. And what I'm just trying to show you here is multimodal, right? Which is, hey, it's taking in multimedia content and then analyzing it. But let me just show you another use case while that's running. And I'm just going to show you like this, and this is just a little bit, some kind of corny demos, but this kind of shows the capability. Here, I'm going to say, deconstruct the ingredients from this image and provide me a recipe for this dish. So I'm just going to then upload a photo.
There's nothing corny about this, Ted.
Okay, good. Well, this is one of my favorite German dishes, and you'll see in a moment what it is. And so I just give it. So again, thinking multimodal, we're giving it in an image here, and I'm asking it to literally look at that image, figure out what this is an image of, and then tell us what's in the ingredients, and then give us a recipe. And so this is called Jager Schnitzel. If you've never had it, it's Hunter Schnitzel, and it's a piece of schnitzel with a mushroom sauce on top. But you see that Gemini is super smart, super fast, immediately identifies what the dish is, and then gives me a recipe, full-blown recipe and instructions on how to go cook this dish. Let's look at another one. This one, I'm going to just, one of the things that's going on in my life is I've got a 10th grader, and he is taking AP World History, and so I spend a little bit of time helping him now and again with his AP world history quizzes and that sort of thing. And so I'm just going to say, analyze the attached photo and supply me with a 500-word summary on the history of this battle and its significance. And I'm just going to take another image. Come on. And I'm going to take a picture of this battle. And I'm going to ask it to quickly analyze it and tell me what. So this is something that was featured in one of the chapters my son was working on. And this painting, likely a depiction of the Battle of Vienna, illustrates one of the most significant military engagements in European history. September 12th, 1683. So the Battle of Vienna, and it gives me all this nice context about it. And it is able to just understand this image. Now, if we go back to that one of those first ones we started with, is we gave it a 300-page PDF and we gave it a YouTube video. And it came back and gave us this full-blown analysis of the 2024 outlook, the 2025 outlook, what's changed, you know, all in. I mean, we had to let this guy run for 3 or 4 minutes while we did those 2 other demos. But this is what we mean by multimodal. You can feed it a host of different kinds of content, different medias, and it's still able to digest them and execute against them. So let's keep trucking here. Nathan, any questions that have come up that are burning?
No, not a burning question right now. So let's keep trucking.
Okay, great. So Gemini Live. Gemini Live, I have to confess, I had not used it before we started preparing for this webinar. And but it's pretty cool. So you could think about Google, the way you access Google Gemini Live is it's really designed for your mobile app first. So you go to the Gemini app, and then there's a special little button that launches the live interface. And the way the live interface works is it basically turns on a camera, and you can take a picture with the camera and then upload it and then do your prompting. Or you can just put it in live view mode and literally scan around the world you're in. Like look at a car and go, what model of Toyota Prius is that? Or you're out at a construction site and you see some new delivery come in and you're like, what the heck is that? Send this back, you know. Just you can think about all the different use cases. And what I wanted, this one is very impossible to demo on a webinar, but what I tried to do here is just give you a sense of a little test of this. And so I keep my Swiss Army knife on my desk. I don't know, I like it. I use it for things. And I turned on Gemini Live and I pointed it at the Swiss Army knife and I said, what is that? And it's like, it says, oh, that's a Swiss Army knife, obviously. And I said, well, what model is it? And then Gemini will talk with me, and Gemini says, well, you know, show me more of the knife, turn it on its side. How many layers of blades does it have? Open up some of the tools. And so I started opening up the tools. And when I opened up all the tools and I let it, talked with it back and forth, it was like, oh, well, that's obviously the Victorinox Huntsman model because it has the corkscrew and the leather awl and the saw on it, and that means it's the Huntsman. And so it was able to determine what this item is. And then I said to Gemini, I said, okay, well, now show me where I can go buy one of these. And within 1 or 2 clicks of the button, I'm at the REI website with the Huntsman SKU sitting right there available for me to purchase. So let your imagination run wild of all the different use cases that you could leverage this sort of capability with. But it's, you know, when you're out as a tourist, you may like, you know, view your camera on a historical site and say, what is this? Give me the historical background of this building I'm looking at. The use cases really boggle the mind in terms of the variety and number of ones you could kind of think of. But that's what Gemini Live is. Pretty cool. And I think it has a lot of business use cases and consumer use cases. Okay, now let's change gears to images. So Google has been winning massive user market share in the past 6 months because their image generation and image editing capabilities are better than all the competition. And in typical Google fashion, they kind of launched it with this kind of crazy product name. They launched it with its internal code name, which was Nano Banana. And so they launched the new version of Gemini's image creation tool and gave it this crazy name. And their daily usage has gone up tremendously because of people experimenting and using this tool and this tool alone. And so the Nano Banana has really good utility, whether you're using it to just use AI to create images for you, or you're using it to edit images for you. If you go to this website, if you go to the image generation marketing page, if you will, this one's kind of cool. So you see this gentleman here, he's taking a picture of himself, and then he has these 3 different pieces of clothing, and then you can actually, and then they show how he can basically, Gemini will basically put these pieces of clothing on him in real time. That's just kind of a very typical use case where you take your own photos and then you can manipulate them. And instead of using Photoshop or something like that, you can actually just let the AI do the heavy lifting for you in modifying and editing and mashing up, if you will, your own images. But the other thing it does just awesomely and quickly is create images. And so let me just show you a couple examples of that. So let me just keep my browser memory consumption under control here and close a couple tabs. Let's go back to Gemini. And again, I'm going to try to go quickly here and just use my copy pasted prompts. So the first one is, I'm just going to say, okay, so I need to tell it. So you see the little banana, how cute, right? So we're using the Nano Banana engine, and I'm just going to say, hey, create an image of a muffaletta sandwich. And again, I'm going to New Orleans, and if anybody knows what a muffaletta sandwich is, it's one of their signature deli sandwiches from that part of the world. And I wanted to create an image of it. So there's a perfectly crafted muffaletta sandwich picture with the olive spread. Very delicious. Let's try something different. On this one, I'm gonna say, create a pot of gumbo. Create an image of a pot of gumbo. Let's see how it does in there. So again, sticking with our theme here. Okay, pretty darn quick. Little Tabasco sauce there in the image. Perfect. Okay, now let's try one last one. And in this one, I'm going to do something different, where I'm going to supply Gemini with a couple pieces of supporting content so that it nails it, right? So here, this one says, create an image of Emerald Lagasse with a plate of red beans and rice, and use the photos attached here to help craft the image and likeness. And so I just to make sure I got the AI kind of got this right. I found a couple good portraits of Emerald Lagasse, downloaded them, and now I'm loading them up here. I'm a big Emerald Lagasse fan, by the way, too. Used to love his show. Used to love his show on the Food Network. And let's go. Let's see if it can take these pictures of Emerald Lagasse and then create a custom photo with him holding a plate of red beans and rice, which is again a New Orleans favorite. There you have it. Okay, so kind of perfect, right? I mean, anyway, it's pretty amazing. But that's kind of what I wanted to show on images. Nano Banana powered, super fast, super capable, really quite impressive.
Yeah, and just a quick comment on those images. Like Ted, you said that you were using some silly examples, but let's talk about like business case. How often are we wanting to promote events coming up or things that are happening with your business and you haven't done it yet? But like an image would go a long way to show it. And so to take a photo of the people from your business and say like, hey, show them sitting at a table at a restaurant or whatever, and like come join us, and then you can create that, and then all of a sudden you have imagery that can entice people to want to participate. Then we do encourage you though to get live photos at the event, so the next time you do an event you're using real photos with all the people. But it can be a great way for marketing materials also, instead of using just generic stock photography people who look like stock photo people. Take your people, put them in this, generate images that show them doing different things that you would want it to be showcased. So, all right, so jumping in, I have a background in video production, directing a ton of videos. And so oftentimes one of the biggest challenges was to get B-roll footage that would look great in a video. And so what I'm talking about that, if you don't know what B-roll is, just imagine you've probably seen a video where somebody is speaking to the camera, they're describing something, and the video footage cuts to what they're talking about. You know, if they're talking about, people meeting someone, we love to talk face to face with our clients, and then the video cuts to somebody shaking hands and greeting one of their clients. And so oftentimes you would have had to hire a video crew to not only capture the interview with the people that you want to share, but then also schedule all the extras, the location, make sure that the background looks good. And so if you're shooting in your office because you want authentic footage, you're asking people to like clean up their desk and don't put anything in the video that could be sensitive info or things like that. And so now with Gemini VO, you are getting hyper realistic video content. And what people have been really excited about with this as well in video production, what they're calling out, is that it comes with quality sound that makes sense for what's going on in the video. And so that hasn't been happening with a lot of other AI tools that are out there. And so what I want to show you real quick in this premise is that you could go to it and say, I want 8-second videos, and it'll come with sound, it could come with music, it could come with dialogue, because you want to support that interview that you just shot with somebody. Or maybe it's even yourself that you got on camera and you wanted to describe to your clients what they can expect when they are working with you or your team. And you don't want to be on camera the whole time. You want to have some extra footage that brings it to life. And so you can go here and just over there in the prompt, super simple. You can see the prompt window at the top right, and it gives you an example of how you could prompt it. And so Ted, let's jump to the next slide though, because I want people to see just how simplistic my prompt was. Now, I'm a big Tampa Bay Lightning fan. I love hockey, and it really hurt me last year when the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup, because to us Lightning fans, they're known as the stinking Panthers. And I'm also a Christmas fan, and we're getting into the Christmas season and all that. So I wanted to just like feel better about things and have Santa deliver some coal to the Florida Panthers. And so all I asked for VO to create was, this was the whole prompt. Create a video of Santa delivering coal to the Florida Panthers. Now, right off this screenshot, you're gonna see some things are a little off. Like, that's not really the Florida Panthers logo. The text is off, but look at what it generated. And I'll just remind you, earlier we talked about how long you have to wait for some of this stuff. From that prompt to a finished 8-second video that we're gonna hit play on in just a second for you, it only took 60 seconds for it to create that. No pre-production planning, no setting up lighting in your office to get that B-roll footage, no hiring extras, no dealing with the prima donnas that work for you that are like, oh, I can't be on camera unless I have a trailer, unless I have craft services. So in just a minute, you get a video clip. And the beautiful thing about this is that also you're gonna say, well, Nathan, but then we have to like retry it to get just what we want. Yeah, you also have to do that in live video shoots. Okay, cut, let's try it again, over from the top. This time, don't put your hand over your face when we do that. It looks weird, you know? And so you're constantly doing that. And then you have to cross your fingers that when it gets to the editor's desk, that it's just what he wants out of, or she wants out of those 8 takes that you did to just get these B-roll clips. So let's roll that beautiful bean footage. All right, now as we're watching this in playback, it's a little bit glitchy over GoToWebinar. However, trust me, it is a smooth video. It also looks like real people, like those hockey players look real. They aren't cartoonish or anything like that. Santa does the job of delivering coal to them. And what you couldn't hear either is that it actually laid in a soundtrack of a pipe organ playing Christmas sounding music. It was awesome. And so it really gets you to where you want to go to be able to amp up your capabilities for video production without the amount of work that traditional video production would take. So just wanted to share that a bit. So Ted, back over to you.
Okay.
But we do have a question here that relates to the images and video creation, which is, are the images copyrighted?
No, they're not. They're not. But this is I mean, do some searches on this topic. I mean, there's massive like lawsuits going on around this stuff. So kind of consult your own legal staff, I guess is what I would say on this stuff. But I think in general, what you're finding is that the big players, they're working out with the things that feed their LLMs, like different licensing agreements, so that they eliminate as many copyright challenges as possible. And then you as the customer, it's generally, I mean, really what an AI does is it's a probabilistic model, meaning every time it creates this Santa video with the Florida hockey players or the picture of the Jager Schnitzel or whatever, it's like a snowflake. It's unique, and it's not copied from something. It's built from scratch by the computer model, and what it creates is a snowflake. Now, might it look like something else? Was it trained by something else that was copyrighted? Probably. But this is a whole gray, fuzzy area of the AI revolution that's going to work itself out in the courts and that sort of thing. And it's a little bit beyond the scope of this webinar. So that's how I'll best answer it. Hopefully that was an artful dodge. But
well, and also though, what we're recommending or what we're showing you are familiar things. Like you're using Emerald because he's familiar, so that when the photo comes out, you can see, oh, that does look like Emerald. We don't have photos of your CEO to throw in there and show you, like, hey, doesn't it look like your CEO? So we're just using that as an example, but we encourage you to create content that is unique to you for the purposes of promoting your business or making work easier within your business. And another question, quick, Ted.
Let me double click on that. I mean, and I think Nathan, everything you were saying about using these tools with video, using these tools with images, it applies to whether you're creating images or videos, or you're writing a marketing piece, or you're writing a blog post that's based upon a webinar you did. The best uses of AI is where you take your own intellectual property, your own images of your own people, your own points of view, the transcripts from your own webinars or your own client meetings or whatever, and you then mash them up and do creative things with it to repurpose the content into other formats. And to do it and to leverage what the AI does is it doesn't necessarily need to create something that's totally unique to you or foreign to your organization. It should be something that takes what is unique to your organization and then rapidly repurposes it, recompiles it, mashes it up, and creates a piece of creative or content that you can then use in your sales or marketing materials. But it still is uniquely you.
Mm-hmm. Right? Absolutely.
And so if there's one more question, let's take it, and then let's go quickly do Gemini 3, and then we'll be heading into the home stretch.
All right, so the question is, do you have a cheat sheet of or source for best prompts to use with Gemini or other AI tools?
We don't have one. And go on Twitter or go on X and just type in, like, I mean, there's tons of people promoting different kind of prompt cheat sheets and that sort of thing. We haven't published one, but I would just say use a Google search or use one of the AI tools to create you like a cheat sheet for some of the most common things.
Yeah, and also I would
yeah.
say it's like, what are you wanting to achieve? Therefore, go down that lane more completely. What are my AI codes for this particular outcome?
And it's a learn by doing thing. I mean,
Yes.
prompt engineering is an art, not a science, and it sometimes something very short can get you what you're looking for. Other times you need to create quite a long prompt to get like the precise outcome you want. So, okay, we only have like one more topic to cover, and we just want to touch on Gemini 3. Gemini 3 really, I think it's being billed primarily in the marketplace today as simply super fast, and Google is basically crowing that we have totally caught up and surpassed the other guys. Like, so you really, I think it's a little too, it's at least too early for me to say, hey, here are 3 things that I know this thing can do things way faster than the way it used to, because I've really only been playing with it for 48 hours. But I think if you just look at a lot of the hype in the press and the comments from the Google CEO and whatnot, it's all about kind of speed, and speed is quite relevant. And so I do want to show you just a little demo I did put together around Gemini 3, just to show you a kind of interesting use case. Again, back to this whole theme of helping my kid with AP Europe or world history. Here I want to create a 30-question multiple choice exam based upon the attached chapters 1 and 2 from Ways of the World, 4th edition, and also provide a separate answer key. And so I'm just going to upload 2 files, which are scans of the first 2 chapters of this book. And where are they? Here, chapters 1 and 2. Okay, I'm going to upload those, and I'm going to run this, and it's going to create and just a little comment. So for any of you who are parents who have school-age children, we're all losing a lot of sleep at night over AI technology, right? Is it going to prevent our children from developing writing skills and reading skills? And are they going to just become lazy students and cheat? These are all very valid concerns. But on the flip side, there's a lot of ways to use AI technology to help teach people things. And I'm, for instance, using this as a way to put together quizzes for my son on some of his material, and to study with him, and to so the crazy part is that my son's school, they're very vigilant about trying to prevent the students from using AI. But it's funny, the practice exam that the AP World History teacher provided for their final, which is tomorrow, she used ChatGPT to produce it, and she told the students that. So it's a very strange situation where we're telling students, don't use this tech because it's going to make you lazy students. And then on the flip side, everybody else who's trying to like improve their productivity and the outcomes of what they do in the real world are using this tech every day. So it is a very strange moment in time. But as you could see, in about, I don't know how many seconds here, but less than less than a minute or 2, it created a 30-question exam that I could then just quickly export to Google Docs and print, and then along with an answer key that I can like copy, cut out, and then go provide an exam to my son to help him prep for his exam. So Gemini 3, pretty darn fast, but there's just you play with it yourself and give it a try. So Nathan, maybe there's one question we could probably round out things with, or not. I don't know.
No, we're good. I would just say, like, again, keep thinking, like, we use some everyday life examples too here, but just keep thinking, well, how could I bring that to life in my business? What documents can I upload into it and ask to produce content out of it that can become useful? So like we do a lot of in-person presentations. We could upload our PowerPoint deck and then say, hey, create a worksheet for people to follow along with, some fill in the blanks, different things like that, you know.
Nathan and I, sales and marketing guys, every day we're using these tools to crank out PowerPoints, reports, emails, creative, client case studies. The list goes on and on. You know, working on the company budget for next year, debating about how much we should be spending on sales and marketing. The list goes on and on and on. And every day we're using these tools in our daily work, and we hope you have an opportunity to as well. And we'd love to help you on the journey. If you want to spend some time with us talking about your AI journey, go ahead and book a meeting time with me or somebody on my sales team, and we'll bring an expert into that call to talk to you about your journey. And then we're doing 2 more webinars to round out the year in December. The one on the right featured here, we're going to be looking at some of the most common horizontal B2B SaaS applications that are really lighting the world on fire with their internal AI capabilities in the product. So think about things like HubSpot or Canva or certain Adobe products and how AI is being woven into those tools, because that's a whole other area that you need to stay on top of, is how is the B2B SaaS ecosystem quickly advancing with AI features. And we're going to take a deep dive look at that on December 4th. So with that, Nathan, thanks for sharing the stage with me on this month's webinar, and getting all excited about the video, the hockey videos too. You know, he's Canadian. He's Canadian. He never disappoints. Okay. Anyway, but thanks, Nathan, and thanks for everybody for joining us. We look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. And take care.
Bye, everybody.